What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we get to talk about a new Arkham game. Now, there's actually quite a bit to talk about, a more kind of opinionated things, but let me just start off by saying, if you told me that you would wake up to seeing a new Arkham game, I had a heart attack. I had a mini heart attack today. I was sent this from a friend of mine on Twitter, and I really didn't look too deep into it. I was like, holy dear God, what? And then, of course, then you kind of read the rest. But let me also throw one other thing out before we get too far. I think this game is probably going to be quite good. I know there's been a lot of talk about it. I think primarily the main opinion would be disappointment, or that's the main emotion or feel, about this game. And, we're going to talk about why and, how WB treats all this stuff. But I do actually think the product itself, I feel like it'll be fine. It's just how many will play it. What does it mean for the brand? What does it mean for how WB is doing things and how they treat Batman versus other superheroes, right? Those are kind of the discussions I think people are having today versus, again, and that's why I wanted to just throw it out there. I think this game will be fine. And will I play it? Well, I don't have a Quest, so I don't know how I'm supposed to play it. I'd like to potentially. And look, the one Arkham VR game we got is also quite good. And I would say that quite confidently. I don't think it's better than the other four. But I've always been, I think, a general, slightly higher believer in VR versus other people. I'm not, the most in love with it, but I think you can do cool things. I got the PSVR, way back in the day when the first one, right, when it first came out. And I enjoyed that game. And I enjoyed actually several games on VR. But I don't know. For me, more old school, you got the console, you got the controllers, you sit down, you play the game. So, it's never going to be as much of my thing as, just the core Arkham games, say, are, okay? So, to get that out of the way, the trailer looked fine. We're going to find out more about it at Summer Game Fest. Some things that actually have been kind of brought out. It really seems like Roger Craig Smith is going to be the one to do the voice, which is exciting. And I guess they didn't have to do that, or they didn't have to choose that. I wonder, and I mean, this is only because he reposted it or retweeted it, whatever you want to call it now on Twitter. It's not for sure, and I mean, what we actually have seen from the workers, the people that are making it, is that the game started in 2020. So they've been working on this game for a good 4 solid years. So, could they have done stuff with Kevin Conroy? Maybe, and then they just maybe have Roger Craig Smith just, go over the lines, right, do his own version of it. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, the timeline and what exactly happened. I'm sure we'll find out. And I'm sure we'll hear him talk like Batman. You'll hear his voice, right? When they show this off. So that's another thing. Another thing is, because we're seeing this at Summer Game Fest, it is making people worried about Wonder Woman, and I also would be slightly concerned. Now, I'm going to talk about Wonder Woman on a video on the weekend for Summer Game Fest. We'll kind of go over it, but yeah, I'm not feeling great now that this happens, right? Because it's you already got one DC game. You already have one WB game, and it's probably not the one that you wanted. You probably wanted Wonder Woman. Maybe you wanted the WB Montreal single-player one. Maybe that is a Superman game, right? We'll see if they're able to do more than one thing, at the same event. So that's something I wanted to kind of throw out. One thing I want to also throw in terms of, say, a positive, look, I think a lot of people still want Batman games. And I've said before, I think there will be more Batman games. I want more Batman games. I want to see other superheroes, okay? I'm not opposed to seeing, we're getting a Wonder Woman game. I want a Superman game. I want a Green Lantern game. I want these kind of things, right? But as we've talked about, some things just make more sense than others, and you've got to go, especially nowadays, and especially the path the gaming industry is going down, you got to pick almost surefire bets. You got to pick right. So if your choice is between doing another Arkham game versus trying out some, maybe B-list character that's not saying they're bad, but to say, well, it's a little bit harder to market them, you're going to go with Arkham every day of the week. So one thing I would throw out there is we've had multiple Batman games canceled. We know this, right? I want the Arkham series to continue in some way. I think a lot of people want it to continue in some way. Again, with the caveat that I want other superhero games, but I'm quite aware, I don't think Batman's going away. I think they're going to make more Batman games. Is this the one that I wanted? I'd be lying if I told you yes. Hence the joke at the beginning of this video, right? If you told me today, waking up, you're getting an Arkham game, you'd have a heart attack. You'd flip out. You'd say, oh my God, it's actually happening. Maybe you wouldn't necessarily want it or like it, but it would be a big deal. and then you find out it's a VR game. And like that clearly has hit people. That's clearly impacted people, right? Where it's like, oh, it's VR. And again, I really think one of the main things that hits people with that is just the lack of, like, people don't have these VR devices. It's not catching on very well. It's catching on okay, maybe even badly, but probably in that like below average thing that they would probably want. It's just not going all that well. So not that many people are going to be able to, as many as it could be, right, experience this game in the first place. But do I want other Arkham games? Yes. But a thing to throw in is, and this is something that I thought kind of right away, I got some people on Twitter that even said this as well. Well, like, does this help almost the image? Does this help the idea of Arkham games, right? Because it's literally called Arkham. So it's like the brand is still in their heads, right? Like, it's still going on. Is that good or bad? I do think it's good. This might not be what everybody wants. This might not be a thing that everybody plays, right? But it signals that, like, it's not over. And I guess we shouldn't be all that surprised, right? Because of, like, James Gunn's comments with Suicide Squad and, like, the Arkham-verse kind of thing. So you shouldn't be shocked that they're still going to do Arkham games, but it's different with James Gunn saying it. And then that's different than it actually happening. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, we actually see a game called Arkham. So if you're the kind of person that wants more of these games, which not everybody is, but some definitely are, right? And I think either side is totally cool by me, right? I got no problem with either. I do think you could look at this as a sign that, yeah, they're not done. They're going to keep doing them, and this is just the most recent one. And if it is Roger Craig Smith, by the way, I think that kind of solidifies he'd be the guy going forward for, like, a lot of these projects, as he should be, by the way. I don't really think you have to do a massive search elsewhere. I think it should be him. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.